The Amazon rainforest is a vast and vital ecosystem. It spans across several countries in South America, with a significant portion lying within Brazil. The Brazilian Amazon, a world of its own, is home to a rich tapestry of life, including millions of indigenous people. These communities, spread across the region, have called the Amazon home for centuries. The Amazon basin is shared by 9 nations, but Brazil holds the largest part, encompassing roughly 60% of the entire rainforest. Within Brazil, the Amazon rainforest stretches across 9 states, forming what is officially known as the legal Amazon. This region is home to the highest concentration of indigenous peoples in Brazil. The indigenous population of the Brazilian Amazon is incredibly diverse. There are over 200 distinct indigenous groups in Brazil. Each group possesses its own unique language, culture, and traditions. Some of the larger and more well-known groups include the Yanomami, the Ashaninka, and the Guarani. Despite their differences, these groups share a deep connection to the rainforest. Their lives are intertwined with the natural world. Their knowledge and practices have helped to shape and protect the Amazon for generations. The Amazon rainforest thrives with numerous indigenous groups, each contributing to its cultural and ecological richness. These groups are the true guardians of the forest, living in harmony with nature for centuries. The Yanomami, known for their communal living and knowledge of medicinal plants. They navigate the rainforest with generations of experience. The Xingu Indigenous Park shelters 16 ethnicities, including the Kayapo. Along the Xingu River, the Wauja maintain ancestral traditions. In Acre, the Ashaninka rely on the rainforest for sustenance. These diverse groups contribute to the Amazon's cultural tapestry. Their presence is vital for the Amazon's preservation. Deep within the Amazon rainforest, hidden from the outside world, live groups of indigenous people who have chosen a life of isolation. These uncontacted tribes have no peaceful contact with the outside world, choosing to live as their ancestors did, untouched by modern society. Their existence is a testament to the Amazon's vastness and the enduring human desire for autonomy and freedom. The history of indigenous peoples in the Amazon is tragically marked by a struggle for survival and recognition. For centuries, they have faced encroachment on their lands, threats to their cultures, and the devastating impacts of colonialism and its legacy. The arrival of Europeans in South America brought with it diseases, displacement, and forced assimilation. Indigenous populations were decimated, their lands seized, and their cultures suppressed. This pattern continued for centuries, with indigenous communities facing constant pressure from settlers, rubber tappers, loggers, and miners, all seeking to exploit the Amazon's resources. The fight for land rights has been a central theme in the indigenous struggle. Indigenous peoples have long understood that their physical and cultural survival is inextricably linked to the land. They view the rainforest not just as a source of sustenance but as an integral part of their identity and spirituality. In recent decades, indigenous groups have made significant strides in securing legal recognition of their land rights. Brazil's 1988 constitution was a landmark achievement, recognizing the right of indigenous peoples to their traditional lands. Section 5. The Yanomami, a case study. The Yanomami, one of the largest relatively isolated indigenous groups in the Amazon, provide a poignant case study of the challenges and triumphs of indigenous communities in Brazil. Their story highlights the importance of land rights, the devastating impacts of outside pressures, and the resilience of indigenous cultures. Living in the remote rainforests of northern Brazil and southern Venezuela, the Yanomami have a deep spiritual connection to the land. Their cosmology revolves around the belief that the forest is the source of life, and that their well-being is intricately linked to its health. However, the discovery of gold on Yanomami land in the 1970s brought a flood of gold miners into their territory. The miners brought with them diseases like malaria and measles, to which the Yanomami had little immunity. The result was a demographic catastrophe, with thousands of Yanomami dying from these preventable diseases. The Yanomami case became a rallying cry for indigenous rights activists worldwide. After years of campaigning, the Brazilian government finally demarcated the Yanomami indigenous territory in 1992, granting legal recognition to their ancestral lands. Section 6. Threats to survival, disease, and deforestation. Indigenous communities in the Amazon face a myriad of threats to their survival, with disease and deforestation emerging as two of the most pressing issues. These challenges, often exacerbated by external pressures, have severe consequences for the health, well-being, and cultural integrity of these communities. The introduction of diseases such as influenza, measles, and malaria, to which indigenous populations have low immunity, has had devastating historical consequences. The lack of access to adequate healthcare in remote areas further compounds the problem, often leading to preventable deaths and long-term health complications. Deforestation, driven by agricultural expansion, illegal logging, and mining activities, poses a significant threat to the livelihoods and cultural survival of indigenous communities. The destruction of the rainforest not only deprives them of their traditional sources of food, medicine, and building materials, but also disrupts the delicate ecological balance upon which their way of life depends. Moreover, deforestation can lead to forced displacement, as communities are pushed off their ancestral lands, leading to cultural disruption, social fragmentation, and economic hardship. The loss of their traditional territories severs the deep spiritual connection indigenous people have with the rainforest, impacting their cultural identity and spiritual well-being. Section 7. Life inside and outside indigenous lands. The contrast between life inside and outside officially demarcated indigenous lands in the Amazon highlights the crucial role these territories play in protecting indigenous cultures and livelihoods. While life within these lands is not without its challenges, it offers a level of protection and self-determination that is often absent outside their boundaries. Within indigenous lands, communities have the legal right to manage their resources, practice their traditional ways of life, and maintain their cultural integrity. They can hunt, fish, and gather according to their customs, transmit their languages and traditions to younger generations, and uphold their spiritual beliefs and practices. Outside these protected areas, indigenous peoples often face a different reality. They are more likely to experience poverty, discrimination, and limited access to essential services like healthcare and education. The allure of economic opportunities in urban areas often draws indigenous people away from their traditional territories. However, this migration often leads to marginalization and exploitation, as they struggle to adapt to urban life and face prejudice and limited employment prospects. The loss of connection to their land and culture can have profound social and psychological impacts, contributing to a sense of displacement and loss of identity. Section 8. Understanding the numbers, methodological shifts in data collection. Accurately accounting for indigenous populations, particularly in remote regions like the Amazon rainforest, presents unique challenges. Methodological shifts in data collection have played a crucial role in providing a more complete picture of the demographic reality of these communities, leading to more effective policies and interventions. In the past, official census data often underrepresented indigenous populations. This undercounting stemmed from a variety of factors, including the remoteness of many communities, language barriers, cultural differences in understanding census questions, and a distrust of government officials. However, recent decades have witnessed a shift towards more culturally sensitive and inclusive approaches to data collection. Recognizing the limitations of traditional census methods, researchers and government agencies have adopted innovative strategies to improve the accuracy of indigenous population counts. These strategies include partnering with indigenous organizations, employing indigenous researchers who can communicate effectively and respectfully with local populations, using a combination of data collection methods, including household surveys, mapping exercises, and interviews with community leaders, and incorporating traditional knowledge and perspectives into the design and implementation of data collection efforts. Section 9. Guardians of the Amazon, their importance and our responsibility. The indigenous peoples of the Amazon are not merely inhabitants of the rainforest. They are its guardians, its memory keepers, and its most effective protectors. Their deep-rooted connection to the land, their traditional knowledge, and their sustainable practices are essential for the well-being of the rainforest, and by extension, the health of the planet. For millennia, indigenous communities have lived in a delicate balance with the Amazonian ecosystem. Their traditional knowledge of the rainforest's intricate web of life, passed down through generations, encompasses a deep understanding of plant and animal species, medicinal properties of plants, sustainable agricultural practices, and the delicate balance of the ecosystem. Their sustainable practices, such as agroforestry, which combines tree cultivation with crop production and fishing and hunting regulations, ensure the long-term health of the rainforest and its resources. Studies have consistently shown that deforestation rates are significantly lower in indigenous territories than in surrounding areas, demonstrating their vital role in conservation. It is our collective responsibility to stand in solidarity with the indigenous peoples of the Amazon, supporting their land rights, ensuring access to healthcare and education, and amplifying their voices on the global stage are crucial steps in protecting their rights and preserving the Amazon rainforest for future generations.